Yo, guys, what's going on? Coach Jamie here, and I am so excited to have you here listening to my podcast, Make Time for Your Mind with Coach Jamie, where we will be talking about all things mindset, vulnerability, personal development, ways we can become better individuals. And sometimes in that process, we'll get heavy, sometimes we'll have fun, and sometimes I will be challenging your perspective. The goal, no matter what, though, is to leave you better than you were before you tuned in. So, with that being said, let's dive in. Yo, guys, welcome back. And I am so glad, as always, to have you here listening with me. This episode 4, The Silent Killer. All right. So I feel like depending what side of the motivational, inspirational spectrum you're on, you may have already heard something like this before, but I think this is very much a silent killer in the fact that it isn't talked about enough because it's comfortable. And the silent killer, I believe, that is happening right now is complacency. We have gotten so comfortable with being comfortable. And in that, it's because we have been medicating ourselves with all forms of pleasure possible to avoid any sense of conflict. And now I think that it is important to not put ourselves into unnecessary situations, but like one of my favorite quotes, without struggle, there is no progress, right? Just because it's hard doesn't mean it's good, but also just because it's easy, that doesn't mean it's good either. And I don't know if you guys have heard me talk about it in the past, but like there are so many people who where it's like, oh no, if you manifest it and if you just attract it and if you think amazing thoughts, then all good is going to come to you and it's going to be effortless. And that's just not how it works. Like there's still going to be hardships along with that. Now, again, as always, we need water to survive, but water can also kill us. And so there's a balance to this. But when it comes to complacency, there is so much familiarity and comfort that's there that we start to justify things and we even take the easy way out because we're comfortable. And now all of a sudden it's that no, this is toxic, or no, this shouldn't be that hard, or no, there's an easier way to do it. And so we avoid any sense of discomfort whatsoever. And then all of a sudden people are wondering why they just aren't feeling inspired, why they're not feeling empowered by what they're doing. They don't feel like there's purpose or creativity behind what they're doing. And it's because they're slowly dying of just staying the same. And, you know, kind of how I said earlier about depending what side of the spectrum you're on, you have like your die hard hustlers out there that are like, no, you need to be grinding 24/7 and everything needs to suck and it has to be the most pain you've ever experienced in order to grow. Like, again, that's a little intense. Like, yes, I think that there's a time and a place for all of that, which brings me to a scripture that actually I'm obsessed with, Ecclesiastes, which is a book within the Bible. And so I want to share with you guys very quickly what that scripture says, because I think it sums up perfectly how we should be kind of living our lives and what we should be expecting out of life. A time for everything. For everything, there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to cry and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to turn away, a time to search and a time to quit searching, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be quiet and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. I love this because I feel like it sums up all perspectives that we should be carrying in life, right? Like there's going to be seasons of hardship. We cannot escape adversity, right? Like we can't just be like, hey, let's avoid a storm. I don't want it to rain today, so I'm just going to tell the rain not to come down. Like that's not how it works, right? Like hard times are going to come. Joyful moments are going to come. Sometimes things are going to be effortless and they'll naturally come to you. And other times, like you're going to have to show up and like really push through in a season. And I think where we also find complacency is if we put this expectation out there that this time of hardship or discomfort should only last a day or a couple days or maybe even a week. But if maybe it takes a couple more months, or if you're even in this growing pain for a year, like there's a time and a season for it. But it's us that like almost talks ourselves out of being in that discomfort because it feels better to sit in familiarity. And so when that happens, we slow down the process of our growth because we now are just hiding from our sense of tenacity to overcome. And there's so much power to overcoming. Yes, it sucks as it's happening, but think about how amazing you feel afterwards, right? Like that very thing in your business that you were scared to do, and then you finally ripped the Band-Aid off and you did it, and the amount of relief and just pride and just happiness you had because you decided to do that and you were courageous enough to follow through. Or like that workout you didn't want to do and then you get up and you decide to do it anyways, and then you feel so much better for the rest of the day that you did that because you did something amazing for your body, right? So like discomfort isn't a bad thing. And, you know, again, like in the motivation spectrum, you always hear like, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Well, no, because I tried that one time. I used to live in that phrase. I said that I was comfortable in discomfort, but really I found the areas of familiarity within discomfort. And so I was causing unnecessary discomfort in my life because I was still avoiding the discomfort that I wasn't familiar with. And so again, I think this is why so many people also start to experience burnout. And I found this in many of my clients is where, you know, they're like, I just don't feel motivated anymore. I don't feel like this is where I'm supposed to be anymore. And I'm supposed to be moving on to something bigger, better, and greater. That may be the case, but maybe it's not. Like maybe it's actually that like this is a hard season that you have to push through and you have to find a deeper meaning in what it is that you're doing, and that you have just gotten complacent in your way of doing things. And again, there's a time and a season for you to be able to just sit and find some comfort, right? Like we've been living in chaos with the pandemic and just a lot of different things that have happened in our the political climate and all of that. Like life has been kind of wild. So it's like we do want to be able to put our feet on the ground and just breathe for a moment. But I also think that some of us have found comfort maybe in that victim mentality, or comfort in the hardships that really shouldn't be that hard for us anymore if we would just do some hard things to finally break past that. So, you know, kind of a question that I want to leave you with in this episode, because, you know, I always want to leave a call to action because I want you to make time to sit and really think about this sense of complacency and where it's showing up in your life. So I want to ask that. Where have you gotten too comfortable? Where have you noticed that you are talking yourself out of doing something because it just doesn't feel something good that you want to do in that moment? And this is actually perfect timing that I was having this episode because prior to this recording, my pastor had done a sermon talking about breaking free from addiction. And this doesn't mean just somebody who's addicted to drugs, alcohol, porn, whatever. Like this is also, we live in a world of addiction where now we're even addicted to going to the gym, or we're addicted to our phones. We're addicted to pleasure that we now don't even know how to let ourselves experience pain because that pain feels so much harder because we'd rather take the easy way out in everything that we're doing. And in doing that, that actually brings us so much more pain and hardship in the long run because we're not willing to endure some sucky things now. So again, I want to challenge you. What are some areas in your life that you feel that you've gotten too comfortable? Are you taking advantage of the relationships in your life, and rather than putting forth a little bit more effort to reach out or to have some hard conversations or to talk about maybe some of those things that you've been avoiding with that specific person, right? Or maybe it's something in your business where it's like the very things that actually you did in the beginning that were helping you grow, you stopped doing because you got comfortable in a steady flow, but you're miserable because you feel like there's all this extra time, but you don't feel like you're being productive, but business isn't moving as fast as what you would like, or growth isn't happening. It's because you stopped doing some of those hard things because you found comfort and complacency. Or maybe it's within your fitness and your nutrition journey that you've just found comfort in. This is my body and I love it exactly how it is. And listen, I am all for that. We should very much love and appreciate and treat our temples. This is our only home that we truly have, so we have to take care of it. And so I think it's important that you honor it and you love it just as it is, right? Like jiggles and cellulite and all shapes and sizes that you may be. But at the same time, have you now fallen to a comfortable space of justifying you loving how you are and how you're showing up because it's too hard to actually do the things that you know you should be doing for your body, right? Have you gotten comfortable in hitting snooze and allowing your body to just rest? Because listen, hey, I am the first to talk about habits and making sure you're making time for that. But there's also a point where on the flip side, you make a lot of justifications and your rest isn't actually even productive anyways, because you're just laying around or you're sleeping like trash because you decided to rest your body and binge a Netflix series, which made you fall asleep late. And now you're waking up later because you want to honor your body and rest. Okay, again, that's getting comfortable in your situation and your ability to do what you want to do now to not have to do the hard things later. So I hope this episode has been valuable for you as always. I would love for you to share with me your feedback, to share this with somebody else who maybe needs to hear this. But for my overachievers out there, you know I always love it when you follow up with me and you take time to do the homework that I give you on this. So if you are one of those, please make sure you share it with me. But if not, I still highly recommend sit down and ask yourself, where have I gotten too comfortable in my life? And where have I talked myself out of doing something uncomfortable because I'm enjoying how I feel in this area now? Okay. So as always, with love and gratitude, Coach Jamie out.